Now, it's time for the Anchormen Podcast with Matt Gates and Dan Ball.
Hey, everybody. Dan Ball alongside one of our anchormen here at the OAN Network, Riley Lewis. Quick plug because people are still asking, hey, it's Matt and Dan. Yeah, we do 2 of these a week now, and we couldn't get our schedules right, so Matt's drop on Thursdays, mine drop on Fridays. Matt's got another one of our employees here at OAN, Vish, on his show. Riley's on mine, and so that is hopefully going to clear up the confusion. You get 2 anchormen, actually times 4, twice a week, and we're hoping to expand these down the road, either more hosts getting more shows, more podcasts per week, or maybe just length.
Yes.
I think we should extend them because size matters.
I think they get the metaphor.
Okay. Anyway, I was just leaving that there for the ladies. It's a podcast, everybody. Get your panties out of a bunch. This is not a political talk show. It's a podcast where your anchormen get to relax, have fun, although I am a little disappointed in staff and crew because
Come on, guys.
we're out of whiskey this week.
Bush
I
League.
think our guest tonight has more whiskey than we have on our set.
Can't let that happen again.
No.
Bush
no,
League.
No. Bush League. It's total Bush League. Audrey, Bush League. Look at his makeup. Anyway, if you don't know that reference, just go watch Anchorman. How you been? Let's catch up before we get to our special guest tonight.
Good. It's been an interesting week. And I would just start by saying, as a huge fan of music, because this is my second love, rest in peace to Mr. Ozzy Osbourne. I had
Ozzy.
to. The Prince of Darkness.
Yeah.
The Godfather of metal music. Are you a fan of Black Sabbath or his solo stuff?
Are you kidding me? Hell
I
yes.
just want to make sure.
I loved Ozzy. Look, I get we're Christians. He's a Prince of Darkness. That was all a gimmick. Go back and look at documentaries. The guy, maybe way back in the day, he didn't have a lot of faith. But it wasn't like he was worshiping the devil. And definitely in his later years, he was not. It was all for show. And let's be real. When you want to talk about the lyrics, the guitar playing, the showmanship, I mean, he was probably one of the original godfathers of heavy metal. Let's be real, right?
The Godfather.
Yeah, there you go.
Undisputed title.
And we lost. They always go in threes. That's the old wives' tale, right? Celebs go in threes. And we lost 3. And we lost 3 this past week. To me, being 51 this year, iconic people that were in iconic roles of Americana. Meaning, you had Malcolm Jamal Warner, is that his name?
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
Who played Cleo Huxtable on The Cosbys. Who didn't know, especially if you're 50 or older, and watch The Cosbys? We all knew The Cosbys. And then, of course, what happened with Bill, we won't go there. So we lost that young man, tragic death. In Costa Rica, rip current pulled him out. He drowned.
That's what happened.
That's what I read. I don't know if that's the final ruling, but it was a drowning, accidental
It's
drowning.
drowning. I just didn't know how.
Accidental.
Wow.
Yep. And then Ozzy, obviously, he had Parkinson's and everything that was wrong with his body after how many years of rocking and drugs and partying. We know that led a toll, but he still had a heck of a life. And he was with the family, surrounded by them when he passed.
He did, and he did a farewell show a few weeks ago, and it was awesome. It's online, you can watch it, but I think 42,000 people went to that, and he met up with all the original Black Sabbath guys.
And then,
really cool.
Yeah, he just did that.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, his daughter had posted a video to social media 2 days before he passed. He was sitting in the kitchen on his laptop. She was there with her, I think, husband and kiddo, and Grandpa was there, Grandpa Ozzy, and he was coughing a bit.
Okay.
And then, of course, most recently, and this one was big for me as well, because let me tell you, growing up in the Midwest in the 70s and 80s, there was 2 things you had a lot of, okay? You walked around with your Walkman on, cassette, battery-operated Walkman, and jam tunes, and you watched a lot of movies and TVs because there wasn't much to do in Northwest Ohio in a town of 4,000 people growing up. And so Hulk Hogan, Terry Boulay, or whatever his name was, real name, the Hulkster. I mean, I grew up with wrestling. Who didn't watch and be like, hey, brother, what's up, brother? And then for him to come out of the political conservative closet last year at the RNC and back Trump when he never got into politics. He was like Johnny Carson and Elvis and Frank and those guys that said when they were always prodded and asked, endorse somebody, say something. No, why would I want to do that? Somebody reminded me the other day, Michael Jordan always said, what liberals, of course, always say it, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yep.
Johnny would always say, that's not my business. We're trying to entertain everyone. What does talking politics and serious issues have to do with being a late night talk show host entertainer? Because everybody, of course, this week is bitching about Stephen Colbert getting the axe, and they're saying that Paramount and CBS only did it because of their feud with Donald Trump. No.
No.
It's called money. That's why they did it. If you're paying somebody millions and millions of dollars in the contract, doesn't matter if he's number one, and he was, by the way, but the evening ratings suck. I mean, late night's getting like 1.2, 1.7, 1.9. Back in the heyday when it was Letterman and Carson and those guys were getting 6, 7, 8, 9 million people watching.
Wow.
These guys get like 1 to 2, right? I mean, Gutfeld kills him. He gets like 3 point something million over on Fox. He beats all of them. So even though Colbert was ahead of the Jimmies, but all three of them went political, if you're paying somebody 30, 40 million a year and your show's only making 20, 30 million a year, that has nothing to do with Donald Trump. That has to do with your show is a negative. It's a loser on the books. You get canceled. But of course, the narrative is Donald Trump's fault. So anyway, I digress.
Well,
we lost three bigs from three iconic things. WWF, WWE, whichever you watched coming up, whatever. We lost the man that I think helped not to create, because others were there before him, but he had to be the biggest until The Rock came along, biggest name, and brought wrestling into everybody's household. And then Huxtables, if you didn't know the Cosby Kids, come on. And then, like you said, Ozzy, he's the Godfather.
Well, I mean, he's got some of the
rough
most
week
iconic
in Hollywood.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, so I don't know. So I just wanted to pay special tribute to Ozzy because his music.
Of course you did.
It just influenced a lot.
You got a riff memorized? You want to rip one real quick before we get to the guest or no?
Maybe later.
Maybe
later.
at the end.
It sounds better with all the distortion in the end.
If we get a lot of whiskey, I bet he would, guys.
We have time, so if you want to.
Yeah. Also in the headlines this week, obviously it's been a crazy week of Russiagate files, Epstein files, MLK files. Will we ever get JFK and RFK Senior files? Will we ever get UFO files? Anyway, big crazy week there, but not to take a back seat, because I hate that people aren't paying attention. There was a lot of news in the immigration world. Yes. Trump's deportations, how many illegals have invaded us, thousands of phone calls going unanswered during the Biden regime by children who were calling, the unaccompanied minors. Right. There was a tip line set up. You saw that story, right? Yeah. There was a tip line set up under the Biden regime that if you came in as an unaccompanied minor and we sent you off to your uncle's house or a host family, if you had a problem, you could call the government to say you were having a problem. You know, like somebody's molesting you. Somebody's putting me in child labor.
Right.
65,000 calls went unanswered, bro. 65,000 phone calls. Now, let's just say that a third of them made all the calls. Okay, so 20-some thousand you didn't answer. I don't care if it's 20,000, 65,000, or 2,000. Thousands of children reached out to the United States government, and you weren't there to help them. And so that 65,000 phone calls obviously leads into he lost 350,000 kids.
Yes.
Probably a bunch of them were calling and saying, get me the hell out of here. And Joe's team didn't do anything. And Lord knows where they are now. So that was in the headlines. It was a big hearing on the Hill with angel parents, with former ICE and HSI agents, really hammering home what Trump's doing, what the Democrats did, what still needs to be done, the missing children, and then just all the side effects that happens, the drugs, the guns, the trafficking. Yeah. So to me, while everybody is Epstein all damn week, there are a lot of other things to discuss, and I'm not trying to brush that under the rug whatsoever.
Sure.
I mean, you saw Trump demanded and ordered Pam release everything. They requested it. An Obama-appointed judge said no yesterday, or today, whatever it was.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? And we know where not the majority, tons of the information, the depositions, the testimony that's all sealed is sitting in the Southern District of New York, where Ghislaine and Jeffrey were found guilty, right? Those are Democrat judges and prosecutors in charge of that information. Release it then. Y'all want it. You know, you never heard Democrats or the media in 15-16 when Trump ran and won, in 1920 when he ran again, and the last time here in 24. Never. They never said, give us the info. And now the minute Trump goes, forget about it. There's so much bigger stuff to talk about. Now everybody wants every piece of the files. Good. Then tell your Democrat judges to release the stuff. Otherwise, shut your damn mouth.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious this is the only thing keeping their party together. The only thing they have.
Because it's about ripping Trump.
Yes, that's the only thing they have. And it makes you wonder, what are they going to do in 10 years from now? When Trump's out of politics, is that party just going to fall apart? Because there's no issue besides hating Trump that actually keeps them together.
Well, and their policy is so anti-American, socialist these days.
You look at Omar Fatah and Zoran Mamdani.
Dude, they're backing them.
Communist party now.
Right? When Zoran Mamdani, or whatever, Mamdani, launched and won in New York City, they were kind of standoffish because he's such a wacko Marxist. But then they're like, look at this win that he got. So big over our old boy Cuomo. And now you got this little Ethiopian needs to eat a sandwich kid, Omar Fatah, over in Minneapolis, mimicking the same talking points. Free grocery stores, government run. Defund the police. More Muslims in control.
Were we talking about this on the Memorial Day episode about the war on America? I think that this all ties into it because there is a concerted effort to, not to destroy America, but to radically transform it.
Oh, there is a mission to destroy it, Riley. Come on.
You don't think? I think
from communists abroad, from radical Muslims and Islam. Yes, they always talk about the West. It's down with the West. You know, we're the reason.
Yeah, that's true.
We're the reason that every nation, almost nowadays, in a way, I know democracy was created by the Greeks and the French and Germans, and Europe tried it and has done it and did a crappy job at it, not like us. I get that others have done it, but let's be real. In the last 50, 60 years, modern civilization, everyone looks to America. If we weren't America, the shining city on the hill, the beacon of hope that millions invaded to get to during Joe, why would you come if we suck? If we're so racist and horrible? Think about that. They look to us. So we have to be here. That's why you hear the radical Muslims in the Middle East always going down to the West, down to the big devil, because they know we provide that. Just forget the money and the troops and everything else we've provided too much of over the decades, but we just provide that hope. People in other countries look to us all the time. So yeah, they want us not radically change. They want down with America. They want to turn this place into what China looks like.
Yeah, or worse, what Afghanistan looks like. What Uzbekistan might look like. A place where, like you said, it's radical Islam. The state is the religion. There's no more human rights, no more freedoms, no more liberty.
Well, and I would say the radical Islamists want that, but then you've got other nations who just communist nations like China and others that just want us to fall because we're too powerful economically.
Yes.
And then again, they don't like that we are always this beacon that's saying, hey, just because you're oppressed in Russia, just because you're oppressed in China, because you're oppressed, there's hope. You could come here legally, become an American, become a millionaire possibly. You can do anything you want here. Free speech, freedom of religion. So yeah, it's not just radical Muslims that want us gone, a lot. And ever since JoJo and the auto pen, let's be real, Joe and the auto pen and his cronies opened the floodgates.
Yes.
The minute he got in, because you remember going back to 19, right? Let's go back to 19, early 20, before he allegedly won. They were lining up with Biden T-shirts in Mexico by the thousands. Remember that? Somebody was paying to have it already. And the minute he took over, January 20th, by February, they were flooding. I went to the Arizona border in Yuma in March, dude. He was only in 6-7 weeks. And already the local sheriff and everybody down there that was allowed to talk to me because Border Patrol couldn't under Biden were like, oh my God, Dan, we used to see a couple encounters a month here in the rural Yuma area. It had shot up to 1,500 like in a couple weeks. They were seeing hundreds a day.
Yeah.
I went there for a few hours, Riley, and I witnessed 55 people. And then we talked to them as they were walking through. They were from like 10, 11 different countries out of the 55, 60 people we ran into in the 2 hours we were at the border. It's insane. That was February of 2021 when Joe had taken over, or March, pardon me, taken over for 2 months. And so I bring all this up to get to our guest because to me, immigration, what the Democrats, it's not just Joe, what the Democrats allowed to happen for 4 years, which all they cared about was power and control. We know why they did this.
Completely.
They want more House seats.
Yes.
And if you get millions of people and they do the census in 26 or whenever we're going to do it, and it changes districts because they fill with more people, then they're hoping to get more seats for more control in the House, and then eventually give them amnesty, make them voters so they never lose an election. This wasn't about being nice and letting poor little Jane from whatever country with her family come in. This was about corruption, power, control. And the problem is, and the biggest picture, and that's why I think this is bigger than Epstein, this is bigger than Obama screwing over Trump with Russiagate, which these are huge, I'm not downplaying them. The invasion of America for 4 straight years has led to a massive national security threat because there are terrorists now amongst us again. I think by the thousands, if not the hundreds, don't exaggerate, but by the hundreds for sure. Come on. How many from China came in? Pakistan, Iraq. Not all these people were seeking asylum and loving America.
Well, and look at the numbers. I mean, you see young military-aged men, not just families and women and children who are fleeing persecution. You see men between the ages of 18 and 35 years old who could fight in an army, and by the numbers of them, you basically had an army. Let's say conservatively, it's 15 million people. Let's say liberally, it's 30 million people who flooded your country illegally. That is multiple armies who walked into your nation.
Well, they said we got 200,000 Chinese nationals, of which 20-some thousand were militant-age men with no family.
Right.
So if I had 20,000 little Chinese soldiers running around this country with drones and bombs attached to them, we'd be in deep.
Well,
okay.
You got to wonder about Chinese nationals. Are they working for the CCP? Are they collecting information on us? Are they plotting something? The implications of it are extremely alarming.
So you got the national security threat. Then you got all the fentanyl deaths because of the drugs that were allowed to come in under JoJo. That's an epidemic.
Yes.
You got all the guns. The liberals were already pissing and moaning about guns in this country, and your boy just allowed millions more guns in. You got the human trafficking, of which were children. You got hundreds of thousands of missing children. And oh, by the way, you got the risk of Democrats ruling the nation forever, God forbid, because like we just mentioned, the census, new districts, and new voters. And what else? That's 6 major things. Oh, and the price tag. What we've paid for them the 4 years they were here, and now what it's costing to get rid of them. There's 7 major things that this wide open border has created. So when I hear about other scandals and everybody freaking out, I keep going back to, aren't you still worried and pissed off about the invasion of your nation and how we're going to fix it? Because those 7 things to me are, yes, a little more important about Epstein Gate and Russia Gate. Still important.
Yes.
Your thoughts?
Well, and the cost of human life. Think about Laken Riley. Think about Jocelyn Nungarai and Rachel Morin. How much migrant crime has to happen until we say shut down the border? It's like, so Democrats will say, we should ban all guns, even though it's a ridiculous idea, it's immoral, but even if it saves just one life, Dan, isn't it worth it?
Right. So isn't it worth to close the border and kick them out?
Bingo.
And oh, by the way, if I hear the left go one more time, you know what, more Americans commit crime. No kidding. There's 335 million Americans. Let's say we've got 35 million illegals here. So there's 300 million Americans. So of course, when you look at crime stats, you idiots, Americans commit more crime than illegal criminal aliens. But guess what? They already committed a crime when they came in illegally. And with that, let's get to our guest tonight. Because let me tell you, this is a guy I've been waiting to have a conversation about immigration with, even though we've had on sheriffs and other people and lawmakers, and we've touched briefly for 10, 15 minutes of this hour podcast about the illegal immigration crisis, the epidemic plaguing our nation with the 7 things I just listed. But this guy knows firsthand. This guy served us proudly. Now retired HSI and ICE agent. This man took bullets, plural, for us. This man lost a partner because of the drug cartels. And this was several years back before they became as big and powerful as they are today, thanks to JoJo, because we turned millionaire cartels into billionaires because they were just cool with doing the drugs and the guns and a little bit of human trafficking. But when he opened the border,
you created a business.
The average was what? 65 to 8 G's a human?
Wow.
Oh yeah, to smuggle them in.
That much?
He created billionaires, dude, overnight. And so, without further ado, our friend, retired ICE and HSI agent, and he just testified this week in front of a big Senate subcommittee about what JoJo did to the border and our immigration crisis, along with some angel parents. I watched it. It was heart-wrenching. I had on one of the moms, Tammy Nobles, on my show this week, and then we had Victor on the other day to discuss this as well. And I thought, what a better format to bring Victor Avila on and discuss the invasion of our nation. Vic, nice to see you, brother. What do you think of my 7-point assessment on what this wide-open border for 4 years has created in this country?
It's a great point, Dan, and great to be with you. Great to meet you, Riley. That 7 points is a bunch of points because every time I talk about the border, I know we've been heavily concentrated on the illegal immigration, rightly so, but all the other impacts, I call it the ripple effect of the open border system, cartels, death, fentanyl, China, national security, crime, schooling, health, the health problem in our country with illegals using the healthcare system.
Oh, I forgot about what they brought in. There's number 8. Think about, remember the last couple of years you coming on, we're like, oh, now we have this flesh-eating thing down in Texas. Oh, now we have this returned, that returned. Where do y'all think all these new infectious diseases came from? When you bring 15 million people in from 160 different countries in 4 years, they're not vetted, their countries don't have the same medical stuff we do, you're going to bring in and reintroduce or just some brand new diseases, viruses, and flesh-eating crap. So there's number 8. Yeah, there's so much ripple effect. You're so right, Vic.
Tuberculosis, those flesh-eating bacteria, measles, you name it. It was coming in, and all of a sudden things that we had, dengue fever, by the way, we hadn't even seen in this country, and we started seeing them because they allowed all this. So all of that you're talking about, Dan, is the huge impact, the economic impact, the billions of dollars, and where do we start, man? I mean, gosh, I was down there too. In March of 2021, I'm like, I got to go down there. And I remember that's the first that Border Patrol, like you said, they were shackled. They couldn't speak a word to anyone. And I went and I met with a sheriff's deputy down in, when it all started in Texas, was in McAllen area.
Right, Texas was first.
I go down there and meet with the sheriff. I get on in his unit. And I remember he didn't want to go down. There was 400 people under a bridge, which it just blew my mind. You see, I worked this for 20 years. I'm born and raised in El Paso, Texas, on the border. I've worked a bunch of jobs. I've worked at the county level, state level, federal, international, and I had never, ever seen this. So I'm like, what the heck? Let's go down there. And the deputy tells me, no, I can't go down there because Border Patrol is down there under the bridge. I said, I don't care. I want to go down there. He was afraid to go down there. I said, no, I want to go down there. We go down there, get out of the unit, and Border Patrol comes at us. I said, hey, I'm a retired HSI agent. And I'm just observing what the hell's going on. So they start softening up. They start talking to me privately. I'm not a media, so I'm talking to them. And all these people were let go into the country. They were bussed in to the downtown McAllen bus station and then eventually made it out throughout the country. That was just the beginning. Then you talk about the NGOs and Catholic Charities. I got kicked out of Catholic Charities in downtown McAllen. I actually convinced the security guard to let me in. I was in there for about 5 or 8 minutes, and then the nun came and kicked me out because they were so secretive about it. The same thing with the facilities that they built from El Paso all the way down to Laredo. I went into some of these and got kicked out because it's not that I wasn't a friendly. I just wanted to expose the reality of what the Biden administration was doing. And what it was so difficult, Dan, is I was watching it, and like many others, I could only imagine how Border Patrol felt. I mean, every time I went to the border and I stood there, and I would tell people when I would take them down there, man, I'm going to apologize right now ahead of time. I said, I'm going to get emotional down there, man. I get pissed off. I'm angry.
I bet.
I'm confused. I'm in the twilight zone here. All these mixed emotions at once. And then they would go down there, and then they start feeling the same way because we didn't have any power to stop it. And it was continuing to happen right in front of our faces. And it was the airplanes, the illegal aliens flying on airplanes. I was one of the first ones. I was in Del Rio, Texas, and there was a bunch of illegals. There was just 2 airplanes that flew out of there. I was the last flight, and I waited to be the last one to go through TSA, which is very, very small. Wow. And it was people from Uganda, Africa, who had been in Uganda 48 hours before I was there, and now they were there in front of me. And I waited for American Airlines to see what were they going to present to them to get a boarding pass. Well, it wasn't a visa, it wasn't an ID. It was just the paperwork that the Border Patrol agents had given them, the processing, right? So they get a boarding pass. So that's one thing, the American Airlines. Then I stay back, I pull out my phone, and I film. And I should send you this video. I filmed the TSA agent. Nothing against the TSA agent, but I was just so upset. And he knows that I'm videotaping. He's going through the paperwork, pretending he's looking for some ID. There's no ID, and he lets him through.
Of course.
And so I'm next. I scan my boarding pass, and I start walking through, and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to go get on the airplane. And he says, no. You need to show me your ID. And he said, I'll show you my ID when they show you their ID.
I bet that didn't go over too well, did it?
No, and you see, I had already talked to this couple before, the way I used to talk to people as an agent. I verified, and of course, they were illegal, and they even offered me the phone number to the smuggler and cartel member to get a discount to bring my family over.
Oh my!
And so I knew I did my homework before I confronted him, and then I he started shouting, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And I got, the more upset you get, the calmer I get, and the tone of my voice gets even calmer, and you could barely hear me. So he's coming out to hear me, and I tell him, "Listen, have you forgotten 9/11, man? I mean, you are letting people that you have no idea." No ID, no identification
Victor,
on the same airplane that I'm going to fly on.
We're so lucky that nothing tragic has happened in the last 4 years and 5 months that senile old... I have to watch my language so that they'll allow this posted on certain platforms, because if you cuss, I guess they knock it down or something, Victor. Anywho, it's just... It's
Dan,
I'm thankful nothing's happened. But
let me say why nothing happened. Let me tell you why nothing happened. They didn't want anything to happen. Why would you jeopardize bombing or doing anything? Because the border was wide open.
That's true.
As a matter of fact, if something would have happened, we probably wouldn't be talking about
right.
this.
Then Joe and the Democrats would have been forced to stop it. So
yes.
They weren't.
Which is why I keep saying
no one was going to jeopardize it.
Right now, under Trump, is when everybody better have their damn head on a swivel.
That's right.
You better see something, say something. You brought up 9/11, Vic. Go back to post 9/11. What did we do? Don't worry about being called a racist. Don't be worried about called xenophobic, whatever the hell they're going to phobia call you. If you see somebody and you think something's off, you say something. Because again, we'll go on the conservative side. With 12 to 13 million, up to 20-some million illegals allowed in, there's thousands of people that want to do us harm, and they're waiting to get activated. So with that, I want to back up, because one thing we have to do on the podcast, Victor, we don't get to do on the talk shows, is learn about our guests. We never have time in the 5 to 9 minutes on a talk show to get to know the person we're talking to. We give the credits and, hey, this is their degree, or this is their book, or they know this, they're the expert. Then we ask them the questions really fast, and then, we're out of time, goodbye. So we now know you grew up in El Paso, Texas. I've told the folks you took bullets for your country working as an ICE and HSI agent, but we don't have any of the filled in information in the middle. So I need you to fill in the blank. So back up, Victor. Sure. Go to growing up. Tell us where you grew up. Talk about that size of town, when you graduated. Did you go to school, the military? Get us up to when you became an agent, and then we'll talk about that fateful day that changed your life with you and your partner being shot.
Absolutely, and thanks for that, Dan. I grew up, born and raised in a low-income family. My parents came to this country legally. They did something very special that you just mentioned, that word, and I wrote it in my book, and it's called assimilation. And they assimilated to this country, and people ask me, what does that mean? Well, in my parents' case, it meant several things. One, they weren't a public charge to anyone, especially the government. Second, they incorporate themselves in the community, being church members and all that. Second, they learned the language. Third, they worked their ass off.
Yeah, amen. They learned the language, and they worked their ass off.
They worked.
Okay.
Because
love it.
That's what this country is. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to come to the U.S. and I'm going to get automatically rich. That's why the illegals are here. No. My dad's a contractor most of his life, and I still have my parents, so fortunate to have them. But they taught us that, the old-fashioned. People ask me, when did you become a conservative? I didn't become one. I was born and raised this way. My parents are the most conservative people I know.
Nice.
And they raised me with those values that I think, I'm trying to pass on to my children. Mm-hmm. My parents were so strict that even the manners around the table.
Oh.
I couldn't put my elbows up.
Oh my gosh, my grandma too. Get your arms off the table. Get your arms off the table. Could you imagine today with these things?
Don't stretch the table.
What our parents would do if you had a cell phone at the table 40 years ago, 50 years. Oh my, it would be across the freaking room. Go ahead, keep telling the story.
So that upbringing, there's a heavy presence of law enforcement at the borders because you have all the agencies there. Everybody's super busy. The work experience you get at the border versus an interior office is just, you can't compare it. And I'll give you a couple of examples right now, but I became a police explorer. It was attached to the...
I remember that. We had those in my hometown in Northwest Ohio. Yeah. In high school, right? You would go out and do
I was a teenager in high school.
Ride-alongs and hang out with the local sheriff's department to learn how to be a cop, possibly.
Which taught me a lot because I grew up respecting police and kind of being a little bit afraid of them. And I really did learn that they were just people. They had stresses in their life, and this was the job that they did above and beyond. They go from 0 to 10 in half a second, all of that. Went to college, graduated from the University of Texas El Paso with a criminal justice degree.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of people wanted to be customs inspectors at the port of entry. I had done an internship there. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be the guy that responded when I was at the bridge doing my internship once, that responded to a seizure. This guy showed up in a t-shirt with his gun and jeans, and he shows up and takes over the whole scene. And I said, who's that guy? Oh, that's the special agent. Oh, I said, I want to be that guy. He says, yeah, get behind the line. Everybody wants to be that guy. Well, I did become that guy. But after I worked as a state parole officer for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, then I worked for the federal court. So I'm very familiar with the U.S. court system as a federal probation officer, writing pre-sentence reports for the district court. And then I made a lot of friends in the agent world. And then one day I said, this is what I want to do. I don't want to be here in the office. I want to be out there taking down these bad guys. So it was the U.S. Customs Service. And that was a merger of DHS. And I was one of the first ones to go to the ICE Academy that they hadn't even invented the badge for yet. So it was a weird, I graduated with, my picture when I graduated has the U.S. Department of Treasury, U.S. Customs Service, and the certificate says Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's how weird this was.
How many years ago was that? When did this happen?
2003.
Wow.
2003.
2004.
Right, because we didn't have Homeland Security until after 9/11.
Yeah.
And they did the report, the commission, and then after that they decided we need more security.
Wow.
We invented TSA right away. We started blocking the doors to airplanes. We started having air marshals. I think for a lot of folks, especially, no offense, your age, 26 and younger,
Completely.
you don't even realize how the country used to be. I mean, there's a lot of used to be's, right, Vic, for us guys that are old enough to remember.
I'll be 53, Dan, in next month, and so
Yep, I'll be 51 this year.
I lived in. I'm in that generation. We know the difference between no cell phones, no computers, and anyway, all that, and how we actually played outside for 8 hours and nobody knew where the hell we were.
Yeah, and you know what? Even though there were bad people and bad things happened, there also weren't millions of kidnappings and millions of kids trafficked back in the day when you and I were kids too. Now you got to watch your kids like a hawk. You can't let them out for the day and come home when the streetlights come on. That used to be the old way in the 70s and 80s, man. It's a different world now. All right, Vic, so you do all these different law enforcement jobs. You finally make it to this brand new department, and then get us to what you were doing in the field, and then we'll get, and I know that we've got some old pictures of you and your partner.
A little bit of old pictures. Yeah. Might be a little bit younger.
So well, but look at you. You know what? That's the thing. I don't want to hear this, because you Latinos and black folks versus us crackers, you don't age, okay? You don't age, all right? I know that's not why we're called crackers, but we crack, okay? We crack because we don't have the pigment in the skin. So don't give me that. Look at him. He doesn't even look 53.
Dad,
2 years younger than me.
My dad turned 81 on July 4th.
Probably looks like you.
And my dad, when he was 60, he looked like he was 48, 50 years old. And
you don't have a wrinkle. Where's your wrinkles, bro? Where's your wrinkles?
No, but that's due to my dad. My dad is I got the good genes there on the skin. But anyway, I came back. I got very fortunate to be assigned back to the El Paso field office as an agent. That usually doesn't happen, but in my case, it was very advantageous to me because I know that area. By the way, I know the other side of the border very well. That might be a different podcast of what we could talk of what happened on the other side of the border. I kid around saying that when they did my background, as long as they didn't do the background on the other side of the border, I was going to be okay. But anyway.
What teenager that lived near the border didn't go down there, or I can speak to this, what GI didn't go down there on active stationed on active duty? I was at Kirtland Air Force Base, Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was real easy to go down to Juarez, which might even be
so you know this thing about the Strip.
Bro,
okay.
It might be worse than Tijuana. I mean, you know Juarez, and Juarez is a shithole. But anywho, and I may or may not have went down to Juarez with some of my GI buddies back in the service, and I'm sure whatever we did down there stays in Mexico. Yep, it stayed in Mexico. Right. I'm all good.
So anyway, that helped me. I get there. The first thing they throw me is in a narcotics investigation group is dope. El Paso is a type of town, these border towns that you blink your eyes and you have a case in your lap, you know?
Of course.
So it was dope, and I was having a lot of good time working dope, and just taking down people, sources, and the cartels, and all that world.
Wow.
I did that for a few years, and one day on a Friday afternoon, my supervisor says, "You're getting transferred to the human smuggling, human trafficking group," and I was very upset because I didn't know much about human smuggling and human trafficking. And I went kicking and screaming. And I remember my supervisor, Kenny Williams, God rest his soul. He's like, "Victor, you have to learn this shit." That's what he said. You have to learn this. This is the new agency.
Yeah.
So I get over there, and it expanded my career. I did a lot of human smuggling cases, but I eventually became a subject matter expert in human trafficking cases, which is the exploitation of women and children, mostly the sex slave trade and forced labor.
This is all early mid 2000s. So this is all under the Bush administration.
2000s,
okay.
So around 2008.
Okay.
I did some big cases that made my name in the office. I took down a corrupt Border Patrol agent, which sometimes people, it happens. There's a lot of corruption. I took down a female customs inspector, corrupt at the port of entry, allowing dope to go through their line. Stuff like that. Big cases. I eventually went to money laundering, financial investigations. I really wanted to do that because you find the money, you find the bad people.
Exactly. It's always about the money.
There was an opportunity to go to the other side of the border and work at the U.S. consulate in Juarez.
Oh.
And I did. And that led my career eventually to get formally become a diplomat and go to the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City in 2009. And you talk about changing the world. I did see, a lot of people ask me, did you see like the movie Sicario?
Yeah.
I did see the bodies hanging from the bridges in person.
Wow.
I did see the backhoe pulling up these mass graves of the cartels of bodies.
Whoa.
That's how, in 2008 in Juarez, there was 350 homicides a month.
Wow.
A month.
Wow.
Think about that, right? In Chicago had the record a couple of years ago with 800 and something, right? In 1 year, 801. 350 a month. Can we do the math on that times 12? How many is that average?
I mean, it's almost 400 a year.
This is where again? This was by Juarez?
It's Juarez, Mexico.
So not Mexico, the country. In one little border
One
town.
city.
Just Juarez.
That's almost 4,000 a year.
I probably should not have went down there hanging out at like 21 years old as a Air Force guy.
But presumably most of that is driven by cartels, right? That's organized criminal groups that are driving that.
Great question. Great comment, because it all got lumped in there. And so it got at that point where
4,200.
There was, if you remember this, Dan, there was it was going on for a long time. The disappearing of these young girls in Juarez.
Yes.
Over 300 of them.
There was hundreds of girls, and they never found them. And it was some American, but mostly Mexican. And they were just poof, gone.
They were dumped in the desert, and they all thought, well, it was a cartel. Well, we had these task forces trying to figure out who the hell's doing this. And believe me, we just came up with theories. It was the occult. It was the police. It was the cartel.
Wow.
It was politicians. It was the guy that was married and got his girlfriend pregnant. That one too. That killed. You could kill anybody and dump them in the desert, and nobody would know.
Yeah, it's Mexico. It's corrupt as hell.
So it was just out of control. Went to Mexico.
Well, I was going to ask Victor if I could. Is the problem the impunity rate? Is it the fact that people just get away with it, and so that's what's opening the floodgate to that? Because why else would that be so concentrated in certain? Like, I just don't understand why.
The corruption's widespread. Nobody knows it.
It's widespread. I stood there, and I say this in 2008 in Juarez, Mexico, and I said, you know what? The only good news, this is the lowest of the lowest that I've ever seen this country and what's happening, that it could only be better from this time forward. We could kind of build up. And I was very wrong. Yeah. Very wrong. It is way worse now.
Oh, yeah. Fast forward 17 years.
And I never thought it could get that bad. And so I go to Mexico City, and because they know about human trafficking, that's my specialty, they put me in charge of the Global Trafficking in Persons Initiative, and I start taking down these organizations of human traffickers. And it was very rewarding work. It was very difficult. This is the most I ever worked in my career. I took my wife and kids, they lived there. They never saw me, and it started causing a strain at home, because even though my wife has always been very understanding with my job, it got to the point where, and I wrote it in the book, where I had 3 phones, and she took them to the bathroom, and she said, I'm going to flush these phones out. She was so,
she's like,
I'm sick and tired of these phones.
This job stole my husband.
Yeah,
because but you got to be like, but honey, I'm saving kids. I'm saving humans.
Even when you're here, you're not here. And I remember it was a weird feeling because I love the job, and I hated the what's going on at home, but I still love the job and I still love doing it, and it required a lot of travel. So I rescued kids in Houston, Mexico itself, obviously Houston, Atlanta, Miami, New York, and sometimes reunited those kids with their parents. Took down a lot of human traffickers, and you'd be very surprised what these human traffickers look like. There were a lot of women in charge of human trafficking. I don't think you've probably heard that before.
No, I have. That's what
women.
People think. It's always scummy men.
It's always this guy. There are men involved. A lot of family businesses of human traffickers. That's all they did. So I was doing that. Some money laundering. In Mexico we did everything. Fugitive. Go find this fugitive. I did a lot of those ops with the Mexican government. I did a lot of ops. I was the one that put the most operations on the ground in Mexico. We were very hands-on with Mexico. It's not the same like this anymore. People tell me, Victor, when you were in Mexico, you had almost carte blanche over there. I mean, I used to fly with the Attorney General from Mexico City to DC. That doesn't happen anymore because of these governments have restricted the U.S. presence in Mexico, which is another thing that I follow very closely. The politics of Mexico is a huge, huge issue here. But anyway, leading to the February of 2011, my partner, Agent Zapata, who was coming from the Laredo office, he was there on a temporary duty working on an arms trafficking case. They assigned him to me to go help me drive down to meet with our agents down from Monterey to pick up some equipment. And I'm going to tell you something that I don't say a lot publicly, but what I found out later what that equipment was, my understanding it was going to be surveillance equipment, tracking devices and such, electronic devices for a big money laundering case that we were working. And we always drove, this is the main highway, the main freeway, whatever you want to call it, from Mexico City up to Texas, up to the Monterey area. And there was a written alert by the ambassador prohibiting all U.S. personnel from driving on that road, whether you were going on personal business or work business travel. You were not allowed to do it because of the Zetas control on that highway. Well, they sent us. I fought the assignment as much as I could, but they still, sent us on there, and we go make the arrangement, pick up the equipment from the guys from Monterey, and we're driving back, passing the state of San Luis Potosí, when all of a sudden these two SUVs start, pushing us off the side of the road. Basically an ambush, and they forced us off the side of the road without going into a lot of details here because of the time, but they shot at us over 120 rounds, and Agent Zapata was tragically killed next to me. I took 3 rounds right there on the side of in the median. Did you see those pictures? You saw that?
Was that your SUV with the shots, or one of theirs? That first picture of the blue smashed up Suburban.
That's me. If you look at that picture closely, you see orange and white stripes. That's the polo shirt that I was wearing.
Oh man.
That's the first picture that actually one of the police officers that showed up took that picture and gave it to me. That's the first time they opened the door.
So he was driving, you were in the passenger seat?
He was driving it. So I drove the whole way. Jaime then said he's going to help me because I was on my BlackBerry. Remember those things?
Yeah.
Working. I was doing a human trafficking conference in Juarez. I was looking for a fugitive. I was just very busy.
So this was 14 years ago. 14 years ago this past February. It was February 2011. And so you're just going to... And did you guys not receive that alert then? Or it just had gone out so you didn't see it?
No, we all got it. I told them we have the alert.
You have to
control the area.
Right. It's the only way.
My bosses ignored it, and I challenged
it. So were you targeted specifically? They knew you guys were those agents, or they were just trying to jack somebody so you got shot at?
No, they didn't know that we were not targeted personally, but they targeted Americans. They knew
they knew you were Americans.
I told them we had our hands up, and I told them many, many times in Spanish, we're Americans. We're U.S. Embassy employees. We're U.S. diplomats. You have the wrong people. You're mistaken. Plenty of time, believe me, plenty of time for them to hear us. As a matter of fact, they got arrested and extradited, and there was a big trial in 2017 in D.C.
Really? And
they testified, and they said, in fact, they did hear me. They thought that I was the U.S. ambassador. That's how clearly they
and still shot 120 rounds.
Still open.
Yeah,
and they
my
still
God.
open fire. That's how this all shifted.
And it took 6 years to get them, to extradite them and actually get them. Where are they now? Are they serving some hard-ass time, I hope? Or did we put them to death, I hope, for killing your partner?
7. It was 8 of them. 1 was presumed dead. They extradited 7 of them. 5 pled guilty. 2 went to trial. The 5, they all were charged with the same crimes. Murder, or homicide, attempted murder of an internationally protected person, just regular attempted murder, and weapons violations.
Mm-hmm.
The 5 that tested that didn't testify, didn't go to trial, and pled guilty were given 35, 34, 28, and 12 years.
Okay, and the other 2 that went to trial?
Life, because they were found guilty by a jury. And I was, you can imagine, I worked for the courts. How in the hell do you give these guys that kind of a deal when the sentencing guidelines calls not only for death, it calls for the life sentence because we brought them from Mexico and take death penalty off the table.
You shot and killed. Was there enhanced charges back in 2011? You shot and killed one of our law enforcement officers.
Mandatory life by law.
But somebody only got a 25 or 24 one, you said, and they could be out in a few years.
12.
Well, they're
the
already
one that got 12 years is already out.
Already out. That's what I'm saying. It's 2025. This is 14 years ago. Yeah. These scumbags are already out.
They it was I stood in that conference room and I got up and my wife was next to me. She grabs my arm like, don't do it. I said, should I get up? And I told the we were in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the head of ICE, the head of FBI, all these people in the room. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused of what's going on here.
Yeah.
These guys are going to plead guilty tomorrow. Am I at the U.S. Attorney's Office or the Federal Public Defender's Office? Because I think you guys are representing them instead of us. It was upside down and backwards. Then they went to the trial. The 2 that went to the trial never opened their mouth. They were found guilty. You see those 2 white globes in front of the of my passenger seat?
In that, let's bring that truck back up.
You see those 2?
Where the bullets hit the.
Yeah.
There was 2 shootings in one. The initial shooting, we crashed the vehicle in front of us. We tried to get away. They disabled the vehicle. Then 2 got out and stood in front of the hood and pointed their AK-47s at me and tried to penetrate the bulletproof glass.
Wow. This is insane to hear this story.
It took 40 minutes for trusted help to arrive. You got to understand, this is the privilege, and you alluded to this, and this is why this country is beautiful, and I love it, and I'll die for it, because you in this country can pick up a phone and call 911 and they will come and help you immediately, no matter who, what you look like, whatever.
Yeah.
Not in Mexico.
No, right. The average time in our country is about what? 4.5 minutes.
Trusted person, right?
Yeah. What is the average? People. What's the average time in America for call time these days, Vic? Is it about 4.5? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
In Mexico, 40 minutes, and that was probably help from our people. Was it Mexican officials that showed up first?
It had to be. Yeah, it was in Mexico. So you did get the Mexican federal police.
Okay.
And the military.
But it took them 40 minutes to get to you.
Yes.
Wow.
Think about what could have happened in 40. You shouldn't even be sitting here talking to us,
A lot of things happen. I'll tell you one quick one. An ambulance showed up in the middle of the 40 minutes. I'm attending to Jaime's wound. He's critically wounded. I'm bleeding from the chest and my leg. And I'm on the phone with the embassy. I'm on the phone with the helicopter pilot and all these people. All of a sudden, this ambulance, it's not labeled. It looks like an ambulance. You would recognize it as an ambulance. It doesn't have any markings. And this EMT, whatever this guy, comes out to me. By that time, I had a gun and I had pulled it out. Long story with the guns. I never brandished a gun. They never saw a gun. My guns came out way after. I pulled one and I had it pointed at him while he was coming through for the window. And he says, open the door, I'm here to help you. And I said, the door was jammed. He couldn't open it. I said, open it, man. Open it. And he wouldn't open it. I'm here to help you. And then he just gave up and left. Well, in 2017, when they testified, that was the Zetas ambulance that goes over to kill people that were left alive.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, listen, we know that they do some crazy stuff, but the cartel actually has a fake ambulance.
Wow.
To treat their own Zeta cartel members that are wounded or any survivors. As a matter of fact, these guys are so highly sophisticated that the weapons that they used, they had to check them out. And the vehicles that they used had fleet cards. As a matter of fact, really quick, Dan, 2 of the weapons recovered that were used on our shooting were part of Operation Fast and Furious. We never talked
Oh
about
my God! Whoa! Okay, hold on. How much time do we have? Holy
really?
crap! We only have 10 minutes left. So many more questions about
Wow.
Vic's life here. So the Fast and Furious, the Obama scandal, the media always forgets about the guns sent down there. You and your partner were shot with guns that our government sent and were involved in the Fast and Furious Obama era scandal. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. 2 months before, 2 months to the date almost actually, in December, is when Border Patrol Brian Terry was murdered in Arizona with Fast and Furious. That's what blew up the whole thing.
Right.
Well, 2 months later, we were attacked, and it was 3 weapons, but I have the proof of 2. I have the ballistic reports right here. And
That's insane.
It was all buried. It's still buried.
Of course
Obama exerted executive privilege on all of those records, including my case. We never been able to get any of it.
Disgusting.
Wow. Yeah.
Guy takes, how many bullets did you take that day, Vic?
3.
Wow.
Takes 3 bullets, loses his partner. Obama gets to sit out there and the rest of his crony ass liars scot-free for a bad deal behind immunity. And again, I get
Eric
it.
Holder, all those guys.
No.
Well, and they're all back in the headlines right now, obviously, because we found out, and we knew this, that they set up Trump with Hillary, her campaign, and the DNC with the whole Russiagate BS, because we knew Trump didn't, I mean, come on. How many years? Oh, there's a videotape of a Russian whore and Donald Trump. Where's the video then? Show it to me. He announced 10 years ago, there's no tape. Oh, he colluded with Putin. They've been chumming up. We got emails. Where are they at? Show them to us. They lied for 10 years about this man in Russia. And now, thank God for Tulsi Gabbard, we've got the proof. So here's another scandal on top of Fast and Furious. And I had totally forgot. I think, Vic, you did tell me that years ago when we first met, that the guns used, and I'm sorry I'm being a broken record, to shoot one of our brave agents and his partner dead were used in the Fast and the Furious Obama scandal. And then, because it was 17, so that would have probably been leftover. The trial started, I would assume, maybe right when Trump took over, so it was all leftover crap of the Obama administration.
All leftover, yeah.
Yep, in the DOJ. So let's call it what it is. The Obama DOJ then gave these guys slaps on the wrist with 14, 23, 24, 30 years when they all should have got life without the possibility of parole for killing and wounding our law enforcement. This is...
And I have to tell you this part, because 2 years later in 2019, okay, the Zapata family is torn. I'm kind of the mediator and telling them all the information is going on. I get a call. I was in a parking lot in my pickup truck, and I get a call from the U.S. attorney telling me, "Hey, Victor, I got some news for you. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this." I said, "What's going on?" Well, the guys that the ones that went to trial and were sentenced to life imprisonment have they challenged it, and they what did they call them?
They appealed it?
They appealed the sentence.
Yeah.
Saying that the murder conviction and the murder statute used to convict them of the murder of Agent Zapata was invalid because the murder happened outside of the U.S.
Wow.
The D.C.
What did they
Circuit
do?
Court of Appeals agreed with them and dismissed the murder charge.
Wow.
Are you
So what did that do for the sentence?
So they were no longer, no one, as I speak to you, is in custody for the murder of Agent Zapata. They're in custody for my attempted murder and weapons charges. So,
Wow.
But they'll all
I
be
get on
out
the
there.
So they kill a U.S. agent in cold blood and there's no accountability.
And people don't think that the
they just get away with it.
DOJ and our judicial system is bass backwards
That's
these
just
days.
sick. That's just sick, frankly.
So
Wow.
get this. So I get on the phone, and I met a lot of Congress people and senators. I get on the phone with them and I tell them what's going on. And long story short, it took 2 years. Nancy Pelosi blocked the law. We wanted to change the law for this not to happen. It wasn't going to be retroactive to our case, but at least it wouldn't happen to somebody else. And we changed the law. Nancy Pelosi couldn't block it. Eventually, it's some procedural. It gets to the point where when you have bipartisan support for a law, she had to allow it to go to the floor. It passed, and in November, here's the irony of life, man. I'm telling you, shit. I have it back here. It's on the wall. The Jaime Zapata and Victor Avila Federal Officer and Employee Protection Act was signed into law by Joe Biden. You can't make this stuff up, man.
Last November or November 23?
November 2021.
Oh, okay. So it was already in the works when he took over that year.
It was already in the works.
Because you were working it for 2 years in bipartisan in Congress. And so they did it, and then he just signed it because it was bipartisan. So November of 21, you got your law passed. And then I believe it was just a few months ago, Trump also signed an executive order that if you kill a law enforcement official in this country, it's the death penalty. Now, a future president can overturn it because it wasn't an act of Congress, but still, how about some damn justice for our boys and girls in blue or brown or whatever color? If you're wearing the badge and you get shot in the line of duty, the people that shot you should pay with their lives.
That's right. When you look at everything Obama did, Eric Holder, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the border czar, Alejandro Mayorkas, how is it that they get away with it? Because
it's a great question, because we couldn't
if we set that standard, then what's to stop another crony president in the future from doing the exact same thing to this country and to people like yourself and your colleague? Because
they controlled every aspect of the government, and so there was no accountability. I mean, the few people that were wanting to do good, their voice was not strong enough. They didn't have the power to be in a position to do it. I'll give credit to our new commissioner, Rodney Scott. He's the new CBP commissioner. Rodney was the chief of the Border Patrol and with Trump, and when Biden came on and he was still the chief of Border Patrol and they wanted him to do all the crazy stuff that we've been talking about, Rodney said, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to break the law. I'm not going to allow people. This is against, it's like telling the police officer, you're no longer going to take people to jail for DUI. You're going to see them that they're drunk and you're going to see them that they're driving, but you're going to say, nah, it's okay.
Right.
And you're going to let millions of them go. Eventually somebody's going to kill somebody.
Yeah. So, and how many people, and again, we got about less than 5. I'll start wrapping up and ending where we started. How many different problems has this 4-year wide open border policy, thanks to JoJo and Cackling Kamala, how much damage has it done to our nation? And again, you go back, the trafficking, the guns, the drugs, the missing children, the money, the, God forbid, Democrats win ever again because that's what they want to do. Let's be real. This all comes down to politics. This doesn't come down to liberals going, we're trying to help the needy and the less fortunate. No, it's about control and power. They want that census reading to show more people in their district so they get more seats. Then they want to make them voters so they can always win elections. And what they've done to this nation is disgusting. And with about 3-4 minutes left, Vic, I'm going to give you the final word here. I would like you to kind of surmise and wrap up what you've seen now in the dramatic change from 4 years of wide open and all the things you and I listed in the last 45 minutes together versus the last 6 months and what we've seen now Tom Homan and President Donald J. Trump do when it comes to fixing this problem, securing the border, and trying to secure our nation. Where would you score them? Run it down for us.
I'd say they're about an 8, and I'm going to tell you why I don't give them a 10 just yet, because this is only the beginning. We're 6 months in.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one word: unprecedented. Just like it was unprecedented under Biden and we had never seen that happen. You're going to see things that have never happened before. and this is the secure border. This is only the deportations are only the beginning. The money's coming in now. You're going to see equipment, technology. You're going to see things that you have never seen before, military, that you and I are going to be having this conversation, Dan, for the next several years. Oh, yeah. And then the 8's going to be a 10. And despite everybody else and the judges and the sanctuary cities blocking them from doing their job, despite that, you're going to see a tremendous amount of shift. I already saw it. I was in Arizona with Sheriff Daniels down there a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. It was there's still some problems, and I'm the first one to tell you. There's still some people coming in illegally. There's smuggling happening.
But it's a trickle. It's a trickle,
it's
right?
Way low.
And morale's up with the Border Patrol and ICE. Oh, yeah. And the ranchers and farmers that live down there feel more secure now and safer. Like, it's already in 6 months turning almost a 180. Again, it might not only be a 170. It's not there all the way. We got more to do, like you said, Vic. But I mean, compared to 7-8 months ago, thank God that America got on board, the majority of us, and realized we needed another Donald Trump presidency to secure this nation. And again, with all the headlines, Vic, and you final comment on this one, with everything everybody's complaining about, I still think the biggest concern of ours has been immigration and that border, because it goes to national security. And if we're dead, well, then we don't have a nation to enjoy.
No, you're right. And it's about crime. It's about public safety. It's about national security. It's a lot of implications here. And I'm just trying to do my part. I wrote that book when I retired in May of 2015, and I haven't stopped. I'll continue anytime I get an opportunity to speak about it. I will, especially honoring Agent Zapata. And I stay on top of this. My world every single day. I have contacts in Mexico, Central America that I know a lot of stuff that's going on. And guess what? Yes, it is political. You better get political. When people tell me, "Oh, I'm not political," you better start getting political, because all of this is very, very much political. It's a shame. It shouldn't be.
That's right.
But it is. So we're gonna fight through the all the nonsense on the left and make people aware of what's going on. And I want that to equal safety in the United States. I don't want anybody else to get hurt, anybody, because public safety it helps everyone, not just one side of the aisle.
That's right.
When you're safe, as a matter of fact, I'm hearing in California that it's impacting the traffic. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm telling you, in El Paso, Texas, it is. They call me like, there's less traffic on the freeway.
I have noticed that. No,
Yeah,
I have noticed
yeah.
that in San Diego. There has been since ICE.
I can't tell you this.
ICE baby has been out.
It's impacting our budget. That's for one thing. I mean, we've spent billions of dollars on free healthcare for illegals while we have veterans rotting on the streets who get absolutely nothing. So it's impacting the
There's
budget.
so many. That's again.
It's a complete
This is the
betrayal.
biggest story
Complete
of the
betrayal.
last 4 years. It's going to be one of the biggest of the century in this nation. And again, I know y'all want files from all kinds of conspiracies. I get it. But this is the biggest concern we have, next to our economy and China eating our lunch if we don't get it in order. But Trump's doing that too, because he can walk and chew gum and sign his own documents. Anyway, Victor, we love you, brother. I'm so glad you guys got to meet Do Riley's show. He's great. I think you've done Matt and Chanel's, but we love seeing you here.
I've never done Matt or Chanel's, actually.
So just mine?
Whoa.
Just yours.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, no,
well,
I've done
you've done the news side, maybe Stella or Alicia.
the earlier edition show with
With Stephanie and Stella. Okay, so that's the news side of the house. So we'll get you on all the talk shows. Keep doing the news. Victor Avila should be a staple on OAN, the One America News Network, because I love you, brother, and everything you've gone through, and you still keep the fight. There's a lot of folks who would have tucked tail and ran away after they got shot, after they got shot down by hierarchy in the departments. All you did was kept fighting, being a thorn in the side, being vocal, and now look where you are today, and you're still doing it. And so God bless you, brother. I'm glad you made it. Let's say a prayer for his partner, and let's keep all these border agents and ICE agents safe, because not only do they have to worry about the cartel and these criminal illegal aliens that want to fight back and the terrorists, they also have to worry about radical liberals who are out attacking them in the streets of America. So let's just pray for everybody, even the wackos who don't know what they're doing. Victor, God bless you, brother. I'll see you on the air next time. Take care.
Thank you, brother.
Yep. Cool. Love it. Did we all learn something tonight?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope the key takeaway that everyone's come away with is that you can't have a country without borders.
And you can't keep a country safe and free without men willing to die for her.
Amen.
Okay? And by that, I mean men and women, mankind. Give me a break. Don't call me a sexist. I don't want to hear any of that freaking patriarchy crap.
You're right, though. It's nice to meet someone with that kind of conviction for the country.
Think about it.
Patriotism.
Men have stood on walls, borders, to protect this place for 240 plus years, kids.
Yeah.
And if you don't have those men and women standing guard, whether it's on the homeland or overseas or in your neighborhood, she'll fall.
And I think
we can fall.
Oh, absolutely we can.
And if we fall, we're only going to fall from within. Because usually we band together enough to fight the outside forces. But look what's happening internally in our country with the political divide, left and right, with the radical ideology, with the mainstream media dividing us because they only care about ratings and not souls. Okay? So, support these men and women that are putting on those uniforms of any kind, putting on that badge and gun, and keeping your neighborhood, your state, this country safe. Because it's guys like Victor Avila and his deceased partner who are out there doing it while you're sitting at home watching TV bitching about something.
Yeah.
Just pointing out facts.
Next time you see an ICE agent or a Border Patrol officer, thank them.
Give him a hug.
Yeah.
Remember that big movement, hug a cop?
Yeah. Buy him a big
Why don't you hug a border agent once in a while?
There's been nothing more destabilizing and divisive for this country than illegal immigration. I can't think of a
Highest
single
suicide rate amongst border and ICE agents during the 4 years of JoJo in the history of the departments. Now, why would it be the highest suicide rate? Highest retirement rate I saw. Some of the agents with the most experience walked off the job. Why would they? because morale sucked, because they weren't allowed to do their jobs, because they had to go, come on in, come on in, come on in. When years they were told, stop, vet, turn around. No, catch, release, or just wave as they walk in. It's disgusting. It was, and it is still, I think, the biggest problem facing our nation, even over the economic woes, all the scandals y'all want information on. It is the biggest concern. And if you don't get that, you have the problem, not me. Seriously.
Agreed.
Victor added the 8th one. I mean, those are 8 major issues and problems that were created because of this wide border. And we have to kick them out. We have to keep it secure.
Agreed.
And we better keep our heads on swivels.
Yeah.
And watch, brother, because I'm telling you, you heard what Vic said there at the beginning is, they didn't attack while Joe was in because they wanted to get more in. Now it's closed. Now is when you do the attack because they got in who they wanted to get in, and the people that are throwing them out, they want to make look bad. So you want to make Trump administration look bad. So we all better be watching out to stop a potential next terror attack.
Yeah, and along those same lines, we need accountability. I'm not holding my breath for it, but I would like to see Joe Biden and Mayorkas behind bars.
Yeah, it won't happen. He's got presidential immunity.
Yeah, it won't, of course, but I mean, it's nothing short of treason in my mind, truly. I mean, when you open the floodgates to terrorists, you are aiding and abetting the enemy who's waging war on your country.
You and I both said it on our shows, Riley. Didn't you say that? I said it.
Yes.
While they were allowing, I said, this is treasonous. Every night I'd go, and this month, 26,423 walked in. Treasonous.
Completely.
You're committing. The number one job of the United States president is to secure the homeland and keep his constituents safe. That's all 335 million of us, not the illegals. You did a crappy job, Joe, because you and your cronies left the border wide open. You allowed tens of thousands of people that hate us into this nation. And God, I hope not, we don't lose another person to these criminal aliens.
Seriously.
But we most likely will.
Yeah.
And that's on them. And if that's not an act of treason towards the American people, well, then maybe everybody in this damn country should go back and read that old piece of paper called the Constitution.
Protect us from all foreign or enemies, foreign and domestic. Joe Biden has blood on his hands, and he got away with it all. It's criminal. It's disgusting.
It is. We're way over tonight. Who cares?
Yeah, honestly, who cares? We need.
They didn't bring us any whiskey, and they didn't cut us off yet. So. All right, let's wrap it up. We got to do our usual. When are you on again?
3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Followed by 1 hour of news, and then Real America with Dan Ball, yours truly, and then Matt Gates, and then Fine Point with Chanel Rion, who...
That takes you from 6 to 11 about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. You know what we should? We haven't had her on.
I know.
Okay, next week, let's call her and ask her.
Okay.
Would y'all want that? Let us know. I know you've sent in some things like get this girl, get that guy, whatever. She's our anchor woman here, our other talk show host.
She is.
And we've never chatted with Chanel Rion, and she has an amazing background and life and history.
Yes.
And we can go in, because she'll love to go into this, because we sent her overseas when we exposed the Hunter Biden laptop. She has lots to say about the laptop, the Biden crime family, and she can go into any subject
The
matter.
collusion hoax, the Russia
Not to mention a highly educated, highly intelligent woman who has a strong opinion, America first. I mean, I love this gal. So I'm so glad she's part of our OAN team. We should do that. I'll give her a call. We'll see if we can get Chanel on.
Yeah.
So there's the lineup. Check it out. For all things OAN, you go to the website. It's OANN.com. That's OneAmericaNewsNetwork.com. 2 N's, don't forget. Check out the lineup of the prime time, but also check out all the newscasts. We got great news people over there too, right?
We do.
I mean, so watch our news. We're on 24/7. Big thank you. I cannot forget. I got to remember this every time. These guys love my Grunt Style. Grunt Style Foundation and their Grunt Style clothing. You can check them out online. They're a proud sponsor of the Anchormen Podcast. And let me tell you, they bring in millions of dollars every year in their merch, and they put it right back out. I believe they told me their charity, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I won't say how many pennies on the dollar, but it's almost like every single penny you're donating, almost, because you got to pay for this stuff and marketing and salaries for staff. They give tons to veterans out there and help, because you were talking about the veterans on the streets of California. So check out what the Grunt Style Foundation does. Grab yourself a cool shirt or some really cool whiskey glasses with bullets in them like we got. They're fun. And a big thanks always to the Herring family, Mr. H, our boss, his sons, Robert and Charles. These guys are hardworking. They're here every day, keeping this place running. And to all the employees of the One America News Network, we are so blessed to work at a place that lets us speak truth to power. Riley, you get the final word, brother.
For all of those who are wondering where to find us, this episode will be on all the socials. So Truth, Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, you name it. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and share it with all of your friends. If you have any feedback, thoughts, concerns, if you want to jump into the conversation and weigh in, please do. Do not be a stranger. This is a family operation here. We are a community of patriots saving this country, all part of the same movement together, and we need each other. So please do that. And if you have suggestions as well, please let us know for guests.
Big shout out to 47. We love you, POTUS. Keep the fight. Right. We know you're kicking ass in D.C. We'll see you next Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Take care. God bless.
Want to see more great videos like this? Click on the link below to subscribe to OAN Live and watch Dan Ball's Real America and The Matt Gaetz Show on Dish Channel 212. Tune in, subscribe, and watch today.